program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Good evening, and this is your weekly reflection diary here on DP24 on Reflections, and your dear Paul speaking here from Dasmania City. Of course, one feast stories that I would tell this to you on air that you could not ever know before. Of course, shout out to FEASTSMDasma's family, including the Bible study team. Of course, AWGP SOS Podcast family, A+ Quest, Elevate, and Evolution coaches. Good evening. Of course, for our dear Catholic folks right there, here's for you to read more of the Bible verses that would be used for the Holy Mass tomorrow as part of the ordinary time. On the feast at home, we're still based from the inspiration from the book of Matthew, and of course, one feast stories will be untold. As far as you know, I got attended for the first time, especially the FEASTSMDasma's FEASTDasma back then. Brother Borbos, shout out to you right there from Dasmania City to North Central Luzon. Naimbag na api kada kayo amin to dear Ilocano folks. Of course, what I have to tell this to you is that I'm always at the frequent stopover, which is Palapala, and of course it's so very congested already. But all of this sudden, while I came across to the cinema lobby, I stumbled upon the FEASTDasma tarp, and I was like, why there's a church inside the cinema screen? Of course, not knowing what to do, I just give it a shot to enter into this wonderful community of churchgoers, and to my surprise, the Holy Mass got started already. I have no choice but to take it as if I'm going to the Catholic Church, the regular Catholic Church one. But after the Holy Mass, I was about to leave, but all of this sudden, me and partner Katokayo plus that media team got, or should I say, I haven't known the media team on the reunion. Of course, I got delighted to see the dance team dancing all the way for the worship, plus the worship at the stage, all for the glory of God. And of course, another surprise got occurred, in which I have to tell this to you. But before that, I'm going to reveal what could it be my love language on this special coverage. So please make sure to tune it in right at 15th September 2020, both on Facebook and YouTube channels that I'll be simulcasting both. Of course, as far as you know, it's all over the YouTube and Facebook watch on the simulcast. That's why I'll be the one to handle all of the controls and everything else in between. But for now, since I'm live streaming alone, then of course, we have to bear in mind that it's okay not to be okay. And you know what it means, that it is necessary for us to hug one another. Most likely that I got into this practice 3 hugs minute, except for the pandemic disaster that got happened. That all of a sudden this 2020, it got modified into fist bump or the heart, 3 hearts, not hugs. Oh my goodness me. It changes drastically. But here's the good news. The gradual easing of the physical distancing, especially if it's at 30 centimeter, sooner or later, that we could hug one another once again. And if you're into relationship, you could hold each other's hands. Going back to the one fish stories, that I have to reminisce all of the good memories. And I'm so very thankful that everything's fine and well. Of course, after the 3 hugs minute, everybody would sit down and listen to the preaching, especially from 2017 rather, until 2019. Brother Bogs have led to the powerful talk of course, it was succeeded 2019 to present with Brother Melvin Mamado. Of course, Brother Melvin's before could be more like of backstage. The backstage would mean the controllers, script notes, and even the PowerPoint presentation, slides, and everything else in between. Of course, what I haven't expected is that one of the technicals could be leading into the feast as a builder. Of course, you know what? One thing's for sure is that while I have to leave temporarily the feast for the academic reasons, and I need to tell the truth to you, is that my parents been threatening me not to send some sort of allowances if I could continue serving the religious gathering, but they have changed their mind. And yes, of course, on 2019, it's been the conflict of schedule that forces me to leave temporarily, and of course, it got resolved. Special thanks to Sir Tao Agrimano for initiating the classroom decongestion. You know what? I have to do all of the paperwork to facilitate the proper processing of transferring from one section to another. And what I have wrote down there is that for me, it's not only the personal but for professional reasons. Classroom decongestion is what I have wrote down in the form. Lo and behold, I got transferred into the morning session without any charges. On the reason that if a particular student would transfer from one section to another on a personal basis, then it could be chargeable already. But for my case, it's for professional reasons. The classroom decongestion. Imagine that the afternoon session got congested and transferring into the morning session with a lighter load would entail not only the physical distancing that I have never imagined before, but of course, easier learning experiences, and therefore I got past versus the crowded ones that would be more prone to mistakes and possible failing of grades, in which I don't like to happen. And to their surprise, I have to return to the feast. Partner ka to kayo got surprised, even the medium team. And of course, on my personal side note, I have won the surprise. Yes, of course, I haven't told my media team about this development until I have returned on a surprise. Yes, of course, I have given the media ID card with my name on it for the upcoming anniversary. And you know what happens next. I have served the feast. Lo and behold, I got past the subjects that I have previously bearing with the, bearing with the hardships that I have faced and the continuous service until sadly the pandemic have caused a massive disaster. If I could share with you the image from Facebook, the fellow, let me see if I could open my FB account or FB profile page. And by the way, if you're interested in knowing the story of dear Paul, it's all over DP24 FB page. Of course, I'm heading into 5S discipline, that previously a 5S discipline in which I have to rearrange everything, throw out all of the things that, or let me say foods and things that you shouldn't leave it behind. I'm going to share with you the photo courtesy of our dear fellow servants, Brotherless Fajardo. So please stand by. Maybe I should download it first, then I'll share it with you. Of course, don't forget that all of the memories that we have treasured from 2017 onwards until 2020, is that everything would go nothing wrong. And I'll share with you also the classroom memories. So please stand by. Yes, of course, I'll be going to use the built-in photo reader to facilitate easier access to all of the photography that I'll be sharing with you. Photo courtesy of Brother Les Fajardo of the FEASTSMDasma. All of these tag photos that are published on Facebook will be properly attributed for the sake of copyright protection and guidance, as well as to avoid infringing on somebody else's copyright. This is what the copyright policy stands here on DP24. And this is it. I'm going to share the photos from the feast. Photo courtesy from Brother Les Fajardo. A day before the pandemic disaster that strike us out of the cinema rentals due to the limitations brought by the enhanced community quarantine, which is a, let me have a disclaimer. This photo have previously shot prior to the zone-wide enhanced community quarantine. Let me up it out for the sake of those who are watching right now. It's a flashback photo, March 2020. Of course, Brother Moko is at the center. Me at the second to the left. Partner Katokayo is on the rightmost, along with my fellow servants. And as far as you know, let me share another one. So please stand by. Classroom memories. Of course, I miss you so much. Photo courtesy of Sis Ana Patricia Geronimo. If you're watching right here, I have to reminisce all of the good memories right there. Yes, of course, if you're watching right here, this is the GTV exclusive and parts of the episode that entails the photo and video memories will not be heard on the DP24 Radio. That time that we're at the classroom, how come that I have to flash back all of these good memories. Of course, outside of the classroom, what I have realized is that good memories will be treasured forever. Hopefully, no hard disk drive corruption will happen, especially I have still maintaining the functional laptop and the hard disk drive, and that being said to that, it needs some sort of upgrading already. Not only the RAM, but also to the solid state disk drive that could store more of our good memories here from 2020 and beyond. Much more if we're going to resume gradually the FEASTSMDasma on site upon the advice from the Light of Jesus family, but still technically we are not allowed to gather at the on-site despite the 50% or 10% of the gathering allowable capacity to gather, and some locations are still into the enhanced community quarantine, the moderate one. Somewhere in Mindanao. It's so sad to see what is happening right here, just to avoid the, unneeded announcements of the suspended gathering. Much better if we're going to have a feast at home for the meantime. And of course, even if the Cavite is at the moderate general community quarantine, allowing the 50% of the gathering capacity, mostly at the parish churches, but still for feast it's a big no-no. Just for the safety's sake, not only for the servants like me and the attendees as well. Recently, what I have to reflect on is that everything changes quickly. So we have to adapt it with the guidance not only from the authorities but also from the books or the manuals and laws as well, so that we could be much safer. And of course, my only mantra is that we should be living into the life full of abundance, following the A+ quest perspective. We should steer clear away from the negative headlines, as if I have gradually pulling out certain programs that would cause unnecessary confusion to all of us. And of course, we have to practice this. The 5S discipline, which is bliss plus discipline. Of course, it has mentioned twice into the WBC 87.9, also known as Radyo Binyan, if you know it. Of course, 5S stands for the safety or health safety protocols that all of us are needed, especially not only on workplace but also for our personal life as well. Then it is a sort set in order, shine, systematize, and sustain. And if you know the term bliss, in which I could give you some sort of idea, here in the Philippines, it was like more of the housing project that got initiated. But here, bliss would actually mean a perfect happiness and a great joy. Well, combining with the practice of training to obey rules or a code of behavior, of course, for us in the education, is considered a branch of knowledge typically studied mostly in the higher education. That's why We have to be very educated. Of course, we should make us more happier than ever before. Of course, Coach Pishen Yani of the Mind Valley got into the motivational speaker. Of course, he's into the Indian descent. Of course, you know what? We should practice also the 6-phase meditation, thus connecting us to the higher source, say God the Almighty. And yes, of course, I have continuously attending to the Feast at Home, albeit on the partial service, since there's always a conflict on the schedule, particularly the morning session wherein the Bay Area District and the Cavite District got into the same schedule as 9 in the morning for the praise and worship at home and the powerful talk. Thus I have to reschedule it for the Cavite District as per my Katokayo's recommendation to avoid listening to the preaching at the same time, so as for me to process more information as accurately as possible. But I digress. If I could read the didache for today, which is at 12 September, which is entitled Obey Your Master. Of course, I'll share with the quote coming from Brother Bogs Borbos, and of course I'll quote it later on to be shared on DP24 stories to Facebook and Instagram rather, and also I'm going to share it all over FB, Twitter, Instagram pages. If, let me say, a true disciple follows Jesus' commands in all areas of life, coming from Brother Bogs Bobos. Of course, it's a quotable quote that I could be related to it. I'll show it to you shortly. Once again, a true disciple follows Jesus' commands in all areas of life. Of course, I miss you so much. FEASTSMDasma misses you also very much. Brother Box Borbos is now assigned into North Central Luzon District. And yes, of course, I'll post the whole infographic after this program. So thank you very much. And before I let you go, I just wanted to, you know, that we should surrender all of the areas of our lives that might not yet surrender to Jesus, which is our own Savior. Of course, before I let you go and have a good night's sleep for the Holy Mass tomorrow, let me sing this a cappella coming from the feast worship. Wherever I will be, whenever it will be, I'll trust in everywhere. The flames and come what may. Wherever I will be, whenever it will be, I'll trust in everywhere. The flames and come what may. I'll trust in every way. Lift my hands and come what may. Oh, 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 you are good, sovereign, loving and true. You are kind, faithful, there's nothing you can do. I will rest in the promise that I have in you. You are good, I will trust in you. Of course, this 15th September, I'm inviting you to come and join with me to DPinFocus special coverage at 1600 hours Philippine Standard Time or 4 p.m. Yes, of course, it is the right time to celebrate virtually my birthday celebration. not only as a founder, but also a producer, podcaster, vlogger, mapper, and everything else in between. And so, this wraps it up with DP24 on Reflections. Where there's always a new beginning. This is your one and only Birko speaking. On the next week, what I love to do while waiting for a right time. So stay right there and have a good night's sleep, everyone. Don't forget that whatever will happen, be safe, be well, stay sane. You are loved always. Good night, everyone. Have a sweet dreams. And I love you.